Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome
Yo,
back.
Hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey.
hey.
Hey, hey,
I
I want
like
to
the
welcome
intro, Dino.
everybody. We got
Yeah.
Green Man here. We have Manny 503 or Area 503. We have the Norm. He's out UFO busting right now out in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Amen,
So,
brother.
all right. Oh, well,
Guys are
guys,
quiet
welcome.
so far.
Yeah, it's been a while. I almost feel like saying, "Hey, guys, I'm sure you're wondering where I've been." But all right, well, welcome. I want to say welcome to Dark Hour Paranormal. We have Chuck Bam in the house, Game Vet 02, whoever that guy is, and yeah, everybody that's coming in, welcome as well. All right, let's get this party started. I
Yeah.
honestly, me and Manny here, we were talking about video games a while back, and I was thinking, Um, Manny brought up the fact that he said, "Oh, I love video games and stuff like that." So I kind of want to go down that road a little bit and see, kind of dig in a little deeper. Like, when you were younger, like, when we were all younger, did you like going to arcades and stuff like that? And like, what was your favorite game back then?
Oh yeah, dude. I've been hanging out in the arcade since I was a kid. I one of the first jobs I had was working in an arcade here in Portland, and it was a nickel arcade. So you sell admission for $1 or something. All the games ran off of nickels instead of quarters. You just sit there all day long. But yeah, they just gave me nickels to go play games off of. And I got to know about video games back then, and that was kind of like about the time like Street Fighter 2 had come out in the arcade, and just arcades were just thriving, they were everywhere. So that's always been a big influence for the social part. But beyond that, like I've always been a kind of computer guy anyways, and a techie. So I've always been around. I've had hand-me-down computers since I was a kid, and I got like I think it was a VIC 20 was the first one I ever had. you know
Okay.
yeah, and that's because
Oh,
my brother gave it to me because he got a Commodore 64. The next way he's like, here, you can go monkey with that. Stay away from me. But
I remember those.
yeah, like, so yeah, I've always been around them, man. Yeah. And gaming is just a great way to relax. It's a good escape. And as technology's gotten so good, like the games have gotten amazing,
Oh
you
yeah,
know. Yeah, it's just crazy, and I think, like the younger generation might kind of miss how far it's come in such a short time, unless they go back and play these original games, which it seems like a lot of them are liking to do now, like they want to go
right.
back and check out the original Atari and, Super Nintendo and Nintendo and, like I said, VIC 20 and the Amigas, like it's kind of cool. So yeah, like I think that part's pretty cool, but I've always been around that stuff. So now like I look at gaming now, but it's more of like just a release for me. Like it's a way to escape, watch a movie, read a book, same difference. You're getting away from everything that's going on for a few, But
Right.
yeah, yeah.
What was your like when you went back to the arcade? What was your favorite game, or like what arcade did you go to, and what was your favorite number one game you ran to right away after you got the tokens or quarters or whatever?
Yeah, I think Street Fighter 2 would have been the big one just for the competition. There was another one that was a real cheesy game. It was kind of like a Dragon's Lair type game, but it was a holographic 3D version in this little white dome, which I just fascinated me, like how this thing worked until I stayed late after the arcade closed one night and just ripped the thing apart. Like, how does this work? Oh, there's mirrors down here. There's a laser projector. Okay, I get it. Like it's cool, but it's not magic, like, and it was a really cheesy game, but I love that stuff, and so I was always repairing these things, getting into them, putting new buttons in them, and then later on in life I actually started collecting cabinets and stuff just as a hobby, like back in the like mid to late 90s, like I had found a news group where people collected them, and you could get on there and get schematics for things and find people that would help you with different questions and stuff. And so at one point I had a few cabinets in my garage, and I'd just go out and tinker with them until I got them working, and then I'd move them inside until I had to get rid of them because I had more coming in. So
Right.
yeah, I've just gotten rid of all that stuff as I downsize over the years. I'm just like, anything that I can't carry with me gets tossed at some point, and arcade cabinets fit that bill. you know
Yeah, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, I know. And
now
I
uh
when I went to the arcade, I always ran to that Spy Hunter. That was great. Um,
Yeah, I like that one, dude, with the joystick with the different buttons for the weapons and the slick and the
yeah,
smoke and like yeah, it was fun, dude. There was a couple. There was like a Road Blaster game that kind of used a similar steering wheel. It was sci-fi racing, real fun. You
yeah,
know, yeah. It's kind of cool, man. Like those you used to see arcade cabinets at the 7-Eleven and kids just crammed around them or at the pizzeria or something, like pack of kids just packed around them with their quarters, like, oh, and it was like it was cool,
Chuck
and
E.
as
Cheese.
yeah, like the arcade was the gathering spot. That was how many movies of that era took place in the arcades, like it was a big part of our culture, So we'll never forget it. Our generation never will. I don't think it's the same right now, but maybe it's starting to come back. I've seen a lot of retro places opening up here in town. There's a couple of bars that are retro places where you go in and you buy a hamburger and a beer and they'll hand you a Nintendo cartridge to play while you're there, out of their library.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, man. Like,
yeah,
people are liking this stuff. They don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be the, PlayStation 9 or the Xbox, 7,000, it can be, they want to go back and check out Popeye on the NES, and get
oh yeah,
frustrated, or
yeah,
Battletoads or something, like they want to be like, oh, this is why I see why they have broken controllers, why there's boxes of these things, like those games they were not for the feeble. Like if you didn't have the backbone, just get out, like because there's no room for that. So that's kind of lacking in games nowadays. It's just everything is, it's like 5 different versions. There's either an FPS or a sports game or an RTS or an MMO, like there's all these different genres of games, but everything's just pretty much the same in them. They're all just different
right,
versions of the same crap. And it's like, let's get out
yeah,
there and get inventive. You got the best technology ever for this stuff. Let's get some cool games out there, and
right,
yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
think
Yeah, games aren't games anymore. They're more like movies. They're
yeah,
more. I
yeah,
I
yeah, like
I gotta say the
franchises.
first arcade I ever went to was actually 7-Eleven, man, and they
Mm.
had 3 games: Super Mario, loving it, and the karate fighting game with the 2 joysticks. I mastered that game, man. I mastered every move they had, and just couldn't get me off of that. But except for when I got broke.
mm,
I was one of those kids. I couldn't go into a big arcade because I just didn't have that kind of cash. There were a lot of popular people, and I felt like an outsider every time because I wasn't into it. I was kind of a musician, kind of a singer kind of guy growing up as a kid, and I do talent shows and stuff like that a lot. But when I got a chance to get into computers, one of the first games, because I was a system operator for a BBS called Mainframe Technologies. One of our most popular games was Trade Wars 2000, and that game was so for what it was, all you saw was a lot of text and a lot of color. But it was just a piece at a time, pixel at a time, really. Pixel scrolling screens that would tell you what your next mission was. Bad news about that is I learned that every time you play an online game, there's always somebody watching you, and they know exactly what you're doing, and they can totally cheat it because I was in that same boat, man. I saw everybody playing their game, and I was like, well, shit, now I can't play because I've seen everybody's moves. I know where they are, what sector they're hiding out in. So that told me a lot about video games. And then it took a long time. I finally got like what did I get? An Xbox. And then finally, I was tired of that. Went to Sony, and I started playing a lot of Black Ops, and so I stuck with that for a while. And then I got sick of being mad at Black Ops and started playing this game called Trove. I've been playing Trove for like 4 years, man. I'm like guru Trove player now. It's like the only game I'm good at other than the stupid football game. Um, yeah, I play a little NASCAR, but yeah, Trove is the shit because you get to make anything you want in that world. It's like that one. Oh, what's that real popular pixel building game?
Um, Minecraft.
Minecraft or
Minecraft.
Terrarium.
Minecraft.
yeah.
It's like Minecraft, but
Welcome
the
to HP.
colors are so much more clearer. Yeah, and I was gonna do Minecraft, but I decided, Trove is a little bit more easier for me. it's a little user friendlier. You know what I mean? Although you got to go through all kinds of hell to get what you need. But anyway, I've been playing that forever, but that's really all I'm about now as far as video games. I think the next computer gonna get is devoted all the music anyway, so I don't care too much about a graphic card.
Nice.
We got Michael Roser in the house. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks for having me on, brother. Yeah. Hey, Area 503. How you doing tonight, man?
Good.
Green Man.
What's up, man?
Red.
We're talking old
I'm
school
sorry.
video games.
I don't think I know you, but I think I will by the end of the broadcast. Yes.
I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet. Nice to meet you, sir.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Likewise.
Did you have any video game stories, Dark Hour?
Oh, God, I'll be honest with you. I've been collecting retro video games for maybe 25 years, and I have everything from ColecoVision, Atari, and up. Man, there's so many memories that I could recount, but I'll be honest with you. One of my favorites was the N64 game Conker's Bad Fur Day. Have any of you played that?
Yeah.
No.
For the time, it was incredibly risque, if I should say. A lot of swear words,
like boobies,
a lot of sexual innuendos.
Nice.
It was a great game though.
I missed that one, darn it.
Honestly, it was a great game.
Yeah. It was Conker's, right? It wasn't Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, that was,
that was a little earlier.
That was on the Apple IIe or Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good old Larry.
God, I did have one of those back in the day.
ColecoVision, that's a good one too. I remember that one. I never had one, but a friend of mine did, and I remember the one with the little paddle on the bottom, and it had different inserts for different games, which was kind of cool. Like you could have like a controller. Yeah, the overlays. That was great, man. It was inventive. We were just talking earlier about how they don't really do that with games anymore. It's either like a first-person shooter or a space game or a sports game or an MMO or whatever. So it's like, let's get back to some of that, man. Especially with what they got now. You could sell a little piece to snap into a phone that would cost you nothing to attach to a game. And give you some customization, a couple of buttons or a thumbprint scanner or a little scope to play gotcha with. I mean, anything. But
I think that's a great idea.
Gotcha was a good one. I remember Gotcha.
I think it's a great idea, but I'll be honest with you. What we have in terms of technology today, I mean, I can go on, the PlayStation Store and I can download a Match 3 game, and that'll keep me entertained for about 3 or 4 weeks. You want to introduce something physical like an overlay. I think that would more or less appeal to our generation, but maybe not anybody beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if it was
specific. Do you guys think that the 5G coming is going to help?
No.
Either that or kill us all. I don't know.
With VR, all speed of the games will change, won't it? I mean, if you're in a VR reality playing games, that's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
It's going to microwave your brains out. It don't matter anyway. You won't know it.
Just like cell phones, right? Just like cell phones.
Yeah.
It's all mind control.
Alive. Yeah, I think so
far.
It's coming one way or another. So let's hope it's got a benefit too. Because it's out there. I see them putting towers up here in Portland, and I'm like, okay, it's coming. Starlink's coming. That's satellite 5G.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's pretty high speed. Like you can do a lot on it, and not just for gaming, for
game
like
changer,
useful. Yeah, it's really is. If it's as stable as they say it's going to be, it is going to change a lot of stuff. So we'll see. Hop on board. It's going to be a crazy ride.
There's always this sense of progression, but I don't think health risks are really considered a lot of the time. They're just looking at the progression. Right. So we might have 5G, but at what expense? At what cost? We'll see. I don't know enough.
It always looks good on paper.
Now when it comes to money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's all money.
That's a ton of money to make.
That's historically that's historically the way it's. It was that way with coal miners. Oh, hey, we can make money off the coal. Their lungs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever. Settle a lawsuit. It's cheaper, right? Yeah, that's how it is now. You know, like
it's the same thing. It's the same thing been through history.
yeah, and it's coming. So like we just gotta hold on and see what happens. You know, like look out for that type of stuff. How can they really know what 20 years of exposure can do or a lifetime? You know, to someone that you can't really test that. You know, like
Right.
yeah, and everything I've seen, it basically says like all these things in small doses are okay, but when you start, you know, adding them all up, like the 5G networks, the 4G networks, the 3G networks, dish network, all your Wi-Fi networks, you know, the inherent magnetic field in your home because of the electrical currents running through the walls. Like when you add all this stuff up, it's like, how do you even qualify that? You know, like you got to say at some point there's a magic number where it's too much and it's probably might be causing, you know, cancer and stuff. And maybe we should look at that, you know, but
Sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. How do you measure it?
And it looks like
That's
we're
my
all the
question.
guinea pigs right now.
We are.
We'll all be wearing Velostat hats.
It doesn't look like that. That's exactly what it is, man. Totally.
5G is a hell of a
I want to
wheel
go
to
back
ride
to
in,
the
you know?
days when it was just video games, and video games were just safe, you know. Stand upright video games, just get behind it. You know, the worst thing you catch is a cold from touching somebody else's quarter.
Listen, if you have a CRTV, you're still safe. Okay, plug in that old Nintendo, throw in the Sega, and have a ball. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's what I do. You can shut out the world if you like.
Yeah.
It's the great balance between what I do on the show and what I'm doing in my personal life. Video games are a huge part of that. And if I can bring up one series in particular and get your guys' opinion about that, what do you guys think about Silent Hill?
I haven't touched it.
I love those games, man. Yeah, like Alone in the Dark, Silent Hill, all those kind of like
Yes.
psychological horror, like they're pretty cool. Like, yeah, and Silent Hill was one of the best ones in my opinion. It was just scary, man. I had a good story, you know. Like, I still get frightened by that. I watched the movie and I'm like, there's stuff in there where I'm like, ugh.
What's the one with the dad? What's the one with the dad who is looking for his daughter, and he goes through hell to do it?
That's the first one.
You're basically a first person.
Yeah,
that is the first one. Okay, I played that one on computer. Okay, that's the one I played.
I think it was
because I got it confused with the movie Silent Hill all the time.
Yeah, most
people. Well, I played it on my computer first, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was definitely on the computer first. Yeah,
that's cool.
It was the same time I was playing Postal. Yes. Yeah, but the way that they did it was it you know, if you did it in the dark, if you played like I did in the dark, it sucked you in, man. You were just And then the ones that they have out for PlayStation 4 today, there's some really good scary ones out there, you know, and free to download ones and stuff like that too. But that game right there sucked me, and that scared me. That was the first scary, time I ever had playing a video game, for sure.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think any game that's come out after that, and we can talk about many different titles, but I don't think anything has actually touched the psychological aspect of what Silent Hill offered. They involved kids. They involved relationship. Everything that you could identify with was in that game, one way or another. Silent Hill 2 is probably what I point to the most. And that was because the story was really solid, but yet it was incredibly immersive. The first one was a good game.
So even better than the first one.
Yeah, no, I think it was. But it did take a different turn. It was something different than the first one, but it sort of incorporated what they were saying in the first one in terms of concept, not necessarily storyline. That came in the third one. But in terms of concept, it was all there. But it was a completely different storyline. That's art right there.
And of course, the artwork has changed too. I mean, drastic graphic changes, I'm sure.
You have the influences from the movie, and one of the biggest things that people always point to is Pyramid Head. So where did he come from? He only belongs in the second game because he is the manifestation and reflection of James' sexual guilt. And James is the protagonist in the second one, but he didn't show up after that, other than to be murdered in the third one, but he had no voice. And yet they included all of those elements into the movies. So I think they missed the point. And we can talk about movie adaptations because Resident Evil eventually did better, I think, than Silent Hill did.
Yeah, I like Resident Evil, dude. That was one of those ones, the first ones that really scared me. You know, like Norm was talking about there. I was sitting in a dark room when I was playing it. I had run the sound for the PlayStation through my amp and had it cranked up, and I was just, had a 6-pack of beer in my lap, and I was like, let's do this. Like, I'm ready to rock, And there's a point where this zombie dog comes crashing through the window when you're walking down a hallway, and I swear I think I might have pooped a little bit, like it scared me. Like,
absolutely.
I need to go outside. I need to like turn the lights on. I need to go watch a Walt Disney film or something. I just need a palate cleanser, like I gotta reset. It scared me, and I was like, man, this is a different level. So I had that moment with Resident Evil. I had it with Silent Hill. Like, I can really get into games, like if they're done well, if they're telling a good story. It doesn't have to be the best graphics as long as they really put the work in, like as far as the writing goes. And all of those did really well. The original ones, they kind of, like you said, as time went on, both of them kind of went their own weird way with the movies and stuff, and they turn into franchises, and you're like, then they're talking about money, not getting a good story out. So, it becomes different, but they all, they're all still pretty good when you look
at them. So I guess in Area 51, Silent Hill is out.
Oh God, they're probably
writing that into one
or something like it. Yeah, actually, I just watched a movie that was kind of like that. It was one of those found footage horror films where a couple of kids run into Area 51 and find an alien down below, and it just messes them all up. It's actually really cool. Like the ending is just like, oh crap, but it's kind of Blair Witch style, found footage, and then those kind of grate on me. I'm like, oh my God, like you better do this right, like don't be hokey with it, like I get we're on a budget here, we all work within our means, but this one was pretty good. There's a recent Alien game that I played that's a kind of they call it a sci-fi horror, and it was like I think it was called Desolation, and it was based in the Alien universe, and it's actually really good. I played about 2 or 3 hours into it, and then I just got sidetracked on other stuff, but it's still sitting there, and I'm waiting to check it out. But it is a pretty good, like the one point where you're crawling under a table and this alien drops out, like one of the hunters just drops out right in front of you on this thing, and you're like you're huddled under the desk, and its tail comes flipping over in front of you, and you're like, okay, man, like I get it, like we're here, and it's pretty cool. Like you get that feeling of like, oh God, I'm on the spaceship and this thing's running around, and it is more of it's not a stand and fight game, it's more of a run and hide, like because it's an alien. What are you going to do? Hit it with a wrench? I mean, come on, you're only going to piss it off. Like is
it more of an open sandbox sort of style, or is it more linear?
It's more linear, but the like the levels are kind of big, like, and they'll have you doubling back through different spots, and that's kind of good because they kind of do it's kind of a tutorial thing where like the first time you run through an area, all the lights are on and nothing's crazy, so you get the feel of the place. And then when the alien's chasing you back through it is when there's smoke and flashing lights, and you got to turn on stuff and open doors, so hopefully you remember the layout, so otherwise your lunch, cool. Man.
Yes.
Cool.
That's my thing. I was playing this game called Area 51. I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah, it was. What the heck? What console was that on? I know it was a CD system. Was that the old Sega? Or something like that?
I would think so. I think you're right.
And the thing
now
is
Sega.
It has the gray alien, right? And if you don't pay attention, the game is all black, and if you don't pay attention where you're going, you can get lost real fast. I come around the corner, and here's this gray alien that came out, and it freaked me out so much, I tossed the controller up in the air. I'm like, oh my God! That was the last time I played.
That's the responsible one. I mean, Christ, that's what we live for. I mean, we're playing a game, you throw your controller across the room, not in anger, That's part of it, That's awesome. I did that with Resident Evil 4.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. 100%, man. That's a great point you make, man. Games should be like in you, man. Like you should be just like, you're paying $60. Come on, man. Give me something.
Yeah, I know,
but right?
I like to make people do the jump scares. I just don't like it when people do it to me. You know what I mean? don't know.
Do you guys remember going to Blockbuster Video many years ago? Maybe you're gonna make a weekend out of it, and you walk into the section, and you're like, oh, cool, Nintendo games.
That doesn't seem really fair.
Whatever system you have, and you say, oh, I look at that box, that looks really cool. I'm gonna get this. What is this called? The worst video game that you've ever played? That's fine. We'll make a weekend out of it. So you rent it, you get home, and you can't get past the first screen. So you sit there and you're like, all right, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Maybe it's the way they programmed it, but I have to be able to get by this somewhere. There's got to be a trick, and there isn't one. You have to literally just practice that one jump. Dragon's Lair is a great example.
There's that driver game too. For the original PlayStation, they had this game called Driver, and if you could not, if you could not get through the first course driving through the parking garage, you could not go any further than that. And God, it took me and my buddy Wally, I think, 4 or 6 hours just to get past that one board.
Yep.
It was just ridiculous because he had to do it just so perfectly, go in and out and spin the car around and do all this stuff. And I mean, the time was so dead on.
I give up too easy on those.
Yeah, it was like basically training for Fast and the Furious. It was just nuts.
I'll be honest with you. I spent probably 2 months on that game with a friend of mine, and we made it maybe halfway through the game.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
So I feel you.
That's tough.
It was fun though. I mean, in those days, GTA was something that really wasn't developed. I remember the first GTA game that I ever played. It was on a floppy 3.5 megabyte disc. One of those.
I played that one too, man.
Hey, you gotta play this. I said, why? He's like, well, you can hijack cars. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I played the game, and it was not comprehensive in any respect. Everything was really repetitive, but it was one of the first GTAs that came out. I think it was 1987 or 88. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that the same time Postal came out? Did you guys ever play Postal? It was the same style, same.
Yes.
Postal was you get everybody after you, and they just want to not, and you try to barricade yourself and just kill everything in your path. And other little guns drop. There ain't no game like that no more, man. There ain't nothing like that. Well, I guess if you want to be just a jerk on GTA, you can go around doing that kind of stuff. But it was nothing like Postal, man. That was crazy.
You introduce a different element that a lot of us didn't grow up with, and that is the online play. Personally, I like playing campaigns, and I'm not really fond of playing with other people. While I've done it before, it's just, some people get into it, and others not so much. But I think that that's indicative of what we grew up with in terms of playing video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I know Big Cat says
I was really picky.
The top view versions of the GTA games.
Oh yeah,
those are fun. Running over the Elvis people, walking around doing the they just slide right into them, run them over and shit. That was great.
Nice.
So, Manny, so basically, when you were, did you ever? I know what you do and all that stuff. I know you're a big researcher of UFOs and stuff like that. When did all that start? Did you have a experience of your own or anything like that, or did it just fascinate you so much you got into it?
I guess you could say it started when I started kind of like not debunking, but kind of fact checking and researching other people's stuff that I saw online, and that was just a course of my research. I didn't really consider it like research. I just considered it like me doing, like figuring out the truth for myself, and looking at other people's sightings. And I've been doing that for a long time without ever documenting it or, using it to make a video out of. I was just doing it for my own information. And so that was just kind of one part of my channel, which was the ufology part. And that's kind of where the space exploration stuff comes in too, is that I was doing all this research for my own information, but at the end of the night, I was just kind of filing it away up here and not, what am I doing? I'm going to use it in a conversation in a bar or something. Well, why not make a video about it and put the links there so other people can, go over what I found and read it for themselves. And it's just kind of, here's a summary and here's the links, save you some time from having to dig around and try to find everything. It's all in one spot,
Right.
So I just thought, well, and then I was doing video work as a hobby too. So I kind of meshed everything together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I'm just wondering if it kind of has any correlation with video games at all, like, because I know back on the Sega CD they had that Wing Commander, right? And I used to love playing that, going into space, flying around the ship and stuff like that, discovering stuff and whatever. And I wanted to ask you if that had any correlation to you getting into the UFO field, like what you do now.
Yeah, I've always loved the space flight sims like Descent, Wing Commander. Privateer was one of my personal favorites because it had this huge open world. It's like the game starts, here's a spaceship. You can be a fighter, you can be a trader, you can go sign up with the mercs, or you can go sign up with the pirates. Like whatever you want to do, man. Like the world's your oyster. Just don't get your ship blown out from underneath you unless you got a second one. That was a lot of fun, and I'm always looking for something like that. Chris Roberts, who made the Wing Commander series and Privateer and all that originally, was a big name back in the computer days. He actually has a new game out. He's got his own game that he's running on a server where you can sign up and play, but I just really didn't like the pricing model. It was like $30 to $40 per ship, and you don't even get to test them. It's like, come on, I'll give you $40 for the whole damn game, or even 60, but I don't want to drop, that much kind of money on one ship. And when there's like 40 ships, like,
Right.
the one I want, like, how do you know until you really even play the game? So that was just kind of, it scared me off. I was like, I don't know about this, man. Like,
let me test drive it first. Just like a cargo
I'll be honest
ship.
real quick. I have to be honest. I have a Star Trek Online account.
yeah, nice, dude.
I've had it for 6 years.
That
I've had
game's
it for a
awesome,
while, man.
It's fun. Yeah, and it's changed a lot. Like when
It
Star
was
Trek
fun on the
Online,
computer, and then it switched over to PS4, and it just wasn't the same. I don't know.
yeah, they
I lost
changed it
interest.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good game though, and it's still kind of fun. It's Star Trek. How can you not like it? You can go, run up to like Captain Nog on a space station and shake his hand or try to blast him. Like it's fun if you like Star Trek. And yeah, so, I think there's some Jedi too.
What do you guys think about
Cool.
clouds and stuff like that, where we're getting games off of the internet and maybe nothing that we have can back them up? Something goes down, that's it. We're out of it.
Yeah, I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Okay, all right. I'm kind of in the same vein, and I really think that's the bane of the gaming industry that we're having moving forward. It's really unfortunate because, in the past we had these hard disk copies, we had memory cards that we could trade with each other, and that's just not the case these days, man.
Right.
And I've heard many horror stories of people making
Too much control for one company, man.
And it just drops. Yeah.
I'm
It's
like
companies.
right. Yeah, I'm old school. I like the physical copy. Give me a CD, give me a cartridge, whatever. I like that. It's like then you feel
I might
like
want to go back to it in 6 months. I might want to go back to it in 3 months. I might want to, and I might forget exactly where I was. But once my disc tells me, then I'm like, oh yeah, you get that good feeling again. That's what I want.
If you delete something now, say you don't pay for your online service, and then you go back in like a couple of years because you don't want to pay the service for a year or whatever. You go back and you could try to download the same game you purchased years ago, and it might not even download anymore. It's like, what the hell?
Exactly. And you paid for it. So exactly, what the hell?
That's true.
I'm not into that.
It was one of the first like Nintendo or PlayStation.
Anybody getting on board with PS5?
No, I'm not getting one.
No.
I'll get one. I will. I know I will. I won't have any games for it, but I'll get one.
I'll get one.
I have a.
If you can own it, buy it. But
right here for the pinball machine.
as soon as those services go down, you lose access to it unless you have a digital backup. You know, if you've got a physical backup, you can buy a console and play it. But, you know, PlayStation Network goes down, all your stuff that's on PlayStation Network, it's gone. You know, all that money you spend.
All my Trove years. Yeah. Oh, I don't. I'm free to play, buddy. I don't pay for nothing on Trove. Not a damn dime yet. Now I'm a proud guy like that too. It's like, haha, I've never paid a cent Trove, but I got all this big shit. You know, I just did all the man. That's why it took me forever. But you're right, man. Once that whole thing goes away, and it could be not just not paying bills. It could be just like if you can't make the bill payment or whatever, you want to take a break for a year. What if PS5 becomes a big deal, you know, and nobody else is using the PS server, and then you know, are they going to? I heard they were going to integrate from 4 to 5. Is that true? Like a lot of games are going to be able to.
The most newest games
I heard that
will be backwards compatible. And I don't know about the older ones when they first came out with the PS4.
Oh,
there's going to be
the ones that are kind of coming out.
Yeah,
you'd think that they
Call
could now with
for
like
sure, maybe
Raspberry Pis and stuff. Like you'd think that they could just condense all those old ROMs onto one big thing and just be like, you know, or something like that. You know,
you can. I mean, I have a Raspberry Pi right here that has basically every arcade game on it, known to man. And I'm going to install it into this Burger Time here, so I'll have every upright game, you know. I just have to make a new control box.
Yeah, the size of the servers are so big these days, man.
What's that? What was that, Norm?
The size of all the servers these days are so huge. There's no reason you can't save everything, you know.
Right.
It's just it's too easy now to make chips so small and keep them cool enough from exploding. It's too good now. I mean, look, they had a gold record that had like every piece of information on the planet on it, and that was back in the 50s. So 60s when they shot up that one record.
How much they want to share with us, you know? In terms
Voyager,
of our
thank you.
Yeah, I saw things about permanent storage too, where they're using crystals now. IBM has perfected a storage medium on crystal, and they were using it at Walt Disney to back up like these original films that were, you know, classics and old and whatnot, just in case something happens to the physical film. Yeah, but you know, and they were just saying as we commercialize this and find other ways for permanent storage, then that will be coming out in like, you know, banks like Google or Microsoft, you know, big places. You probably won't have a crystal storage in your home, but you don't really need it because remember we're talking 5G now, so you can just send everything to Google and it does all the hard processing.
They'll put it in their crystal.
Right. And your phone is just display. It's like the old dumb terminals, you know, they used to just be a keyboard and a display and a network card basically, and everything else was handled on a big computer somewhere else, you know. So we're back to square one again. It's just a lot cooler.
Hey, Green Man, did you hear about those guys who are using lava lamps for security, for writing random code security? They were using lava lamps to fight against hacking. Did you hear about that, Green Man? Yeah, apparently they take a dozen of these lava lamps. They're all plugged in, and they're running your information through the lava lamp. And you can't, for some reason, it's supposed to be an anti-hack. Like it makes such a random number that nobody can beat it. And you being the lock guy, I thought maybe that technology is coming your guys' way too.
How the hell did
something
they
about
tap
gel
into
that changes electronic signals, bro.
Well, dude, I'm more of an old mechanical guy, man. There's a couple electronic guys that's all they do at my work, but
it didn't look new age.
I don't know, man. I've heard a lot of stories about locks, man, but nothing about lava lamps.
Security code lava lamps, man. Security code lava lamps. They just bust out random security codes, and no hacker can get through them. That's kind of a cool idea.
I'll ask the guys.
It's so random.
It's the first time I've heard about it, but I'll ask the guys that are.
I mean, aside from adding the extra digit to the ones and zeros, you know, when they change that now, that's all happening.
All right, should we skip ahead and see this video there are a couple of videos you were talking about, Manny?
Yeah, definitely. We can go and look at some footage here. I've got some stuff here. I don't know if I can share it on here or not. So we'll have to see.
I can turn out my red light for a minute. Blinding me.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk
Norman
about them.
Oh yeah, that's much better. Oh, that's perfect.
Oh man, I could talk about video games all damn day. I want to talk about this other stuff too. We got.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to see that video.
Yeah. All right. There you go. We'll add that.
Okay. So this is a color corrected version of that footage that you sent. The original footage was so dark it was really hard to see just about anything on it. And first of all, when you blow out footage like this and I really did have to hammer this thing pretty hard to get anything to show up on it. But when you do that, you see some weird stuff, and it's not always, anything, physical or whatever. Sometimes it can be light beams, sometimes it can be dust, but we just got to kind of keep that in mind when we're looking at this here. And this first red blob here, I don't even know what that is. I mean, that's probably a flash from like the laser rangefinder or something behind you, maybe while you're filming.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much of this is coming across on the screen if you guys can see it, but there's.
I could blow it up.
Good to me.
Yeah, so there's these little white dots everywhere, and some of those are probably going to be low points of light, like a star or something that you just really didn't see.
Yeah.
But those are real kind of easy to detect because they follow the movement of your camera, so when you look at this, you don't see much until you really kind of scrub back and forth through it, like I am here, where you go a few seconds forward and then a few seconds back. But you do see a bunch of little small white objects that are moving around, and down like towards this way, you'll see a couple of them that almost seem to be chasing each other, which kind of made me think that they were maybe like birds or bats or something like that, but you can't really tell. They just kind of move like that, or it might even be a moth or something like that too. But some of this other stuff is stars, obviously, because they're just they're moving or they're staying stationary, like as the camera bounces. So, but I'll just kind of scrub it back and forth, and you can kind of see it. It was really hard. I really couldn't get a track on anything because it's all bouncing around so much and the color is corrected. So there was nothing really to lock onto.
Right. Yeah, it was so dark that night, but it was, it was bright enough to see. Excuse me. So I get for my kid coughing on me. It was bright enough to see what was going on in the sky, but when I had the camera on it, you couldn't see anything. I mean, it was just the camera was pitch black.
Yeah, and the footage was too. Really, I mean, like I really saw nothing in the raw footage, and that's why I'm saying like there's so much little stuff that's getting picked up here because I've blown the color up so much, but yeah, I mean, there was something out there moving. You can see something moving around. You see a pattern that kind of comes this way, and it comes down around this way, and then it looks like it flies over towards one of the other lights, and that's kind of why I thought like a moth or a bat or something, because it looked like it ate the other one. I'm like, well, it looks like a flew over and ate that sucker, like so but yeah, I don't know.
Catch.
Like, I mean,
nice.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'll just kind of scrub it so hopefully you can kind of see it there. Like I said, I'm not sure how much of that's coming through, but you can kind of see the object right up through here flying around over to this one.
Sure. Chuck Bam says, I'm the world's foremost dot expert. He says that is a dot.
And that's a dot. I have to agree with Chuck. I think that's 99.9% a dot, Now, here's something else too. Did you see that on the right there? Let me see if I can drag that.
Yeah.
Did you catch that red streak?
Yeah, kind of strobed out.
Yeah, I'll find another.
No,
yeah,
I didn't see that.
Okay, so here it is. Here you kind of see it.
I think my ghost is taking over my mouse cursor. It's going nuts. All right. Yeah, I have ghosts over here. So
Nice.
Yeah.
You got to put them to work doing some editing for you.
Right.
So you see this kind of red streaking here and down here? I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that really caught me unaware. And I was like, man, what is that? Like, is it a laser or something? Like it has to be
yeah.
your phone somehow, but I don't know. Like it's so dark, and again, the color is so
like a
blue.
lens flare.
Yeah, I suspect it might have to do with the rangefinder that's behind an infrared screen. And I can show you one of those. I think I have a clip of one of those. There was a good, dang it, I went too fast. There it was. There was a whole bunch of them on the screen at once.
Yeah, see now where you're showing right now, I didn't see anything in the in my perspective or in the camera's perspective. How this video actually turned out, at the very beginning, I saw what looked to be almost like a tube or a cylinder come from the left side of the screen to the middle part of the screen, okay? When it stopped, it actually turned into a red orb and it was sitting there for a little bit. And then I looked down to make sure, I had the camera set up right or whatever, and then the thing was gone. But now what Manny's talking about here, I didn't see any of this stuff on the right side of it, or, towards the end part of this video.
Right.
Yeah. See, we don't see the orb at all, really. It's just so low light, unless it's one of these lights that's moving around, which it definitely
it was just under the starlight, closer to the top. The light closer to the top was the star, and then just under that was the orb.
So here's the star, maybe, or is this the orb here moving around? Because this one was moving around.
Wow, yeah. Reman, I'd like to send Manny some of my spines out here, man. Yeah. This is excellent.
I mean, I don't know what it is, honestly. Like I had to blow it out, and it's I really don't think like the red streaking, I'm pretty sure is the laser, because in one of these you can stop it and you can kind of see how it looks like a bunch of orbs that were kind of like strung out, in a row, and it looks like the bulb of the laser rangefinder on the camera. Oops, which I said.
Hey, Manny, what kind of a camera would you recommend for looking at stars and the moon? What sort of a camera setup would you recommend?
Good question.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good question.
I wouldn't really be the guy to ask for that. Like everything that I do has been with cell phones, and I haven't done any, 35 millimeter in a long time. So I really
infrareds or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, like there's some,
I haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah. Just your standard phone's pretty good if that's what you got, especially if you have 2 or 3 phones, get them all out there and get the best footage you can get, Yeah.
I got this camera thing right here too, the DV thing, but I was thinking, because I've seen a guy in Arizona do a lot of infrared stuff, and you must have seen the footage, nighttime infrared UFOs and stars behind it. And all he does is he plays the video, he says, and puts a couple of white text on the front, and that's it. Man, I still haven't bookmarked. I'll find it and I'll put it back in this link here. I'll chat back at this link on YouTube. I'll put them there because I'm sure his videos are still up. But you see triangles, the TRBs, you see them. They're just out there in the stars, and you're just like, wow, okay, that just happened, And it's really neat because the view that I got has, the Ursa Major, and it's always dipping right down here. And I catch all of Elon's satellites. I've videotaped the which one was it? The Starlinks, when they were like 10 in a row. I did that one. That was a cool one. But if I can catch some of these things, like maybe in the buff, by taking away the darkness, that's what I want to do. Just take away the darkness, especially with the good zoom.
Get your camera out and just look at it. Actually, I just saw like a $20 monocle mount on a tripod that you snap your cell phone into, that gives it a really cool zoom. Like the demo on it looked, almost comparable to one of those,
I did that with my S3.
Yeah, like they've got
I
a
did
really
that with my S3. I bought it from China.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything expensive. This one was like $20. You know, is it gonna be the best thing ever and last forever? No, but I bet you get your
It was
$20.
great.
You know,
It was
like,
plastic. It eventually broke, but it
yeah,
was great, dude. I could stand on my street and video. I could zoom in on a animal that was up on this mountain up here, man. I was just blown away by it. Whose video is this now?
now this is a reference video that I use because this is over California, and this guy, he kind of does what you're doing out there, Norm. Is he's out there sky watching, but he's got a high powered laser pointer to just
Right.
zing these, dude. And he tags them every now and then, and it's like, and they respond. So are they UFOs responding? Is it a moth? Is it a bat responding to having a big laser shot at it? You know, like, I don't know, but it's kind of interesting, you know, and that's kind of what you guys are, you know, that's what you're out there doing. I just wanted to play this because it does look a little similar to what we were looking at in that previous footage, you know, but these things, when he zaps them with a laser, watch, they juke, man. They don't like it. See how
it's
it flares
curious.
up there?
It's curious when somebody has control over experience, you know, and that they can ask a question and something responds in the sky. That's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? You know,
the CE5 and all that, you know, like the link to the connection of consciousness, you know, like, you know, all things are possible. I'll tell you what.
Now, what's the difference between using a red laser and a green laser?
I don't know. Honestly, one's cheaper, one's different. I don't know. Maybe
I think when he meant the red laser was the lasers inside the camera. They use lasers in your camera to focus.
But I think
with the cell phone, they have
though,
lasers. I think that's what he was referencing.
Yeah, like an infrared. The infrared ones we're not even going to see, and that's what's in your camera, and that's why it's infrared, is so you don't see it.
Yeah.
But it is still picked up if the camera, you know, shutter is going, or if it's filming, you'll see it. I actually think I had a.
I've actually never had where. It was interesting because I don't use my laser on airplanes or anything human, but these damn satellite looking things, I'll shine that at those and they just don't respond. I've never had any kind of, and I actually have the CE5 app too, I must admit, but I shine this damn thing and they just keep going their own way, man. They don't even care. They just,
does anybody have the book? Curiosity, anybody ordered the book?
What book?
The CE5 book?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. That's so bogus.
Here, listen. This is what I'm going to say about it. It's something that you can read and enjoy reading.
No, I get it.
If you want to do exercises, that's something different. You know, I mean,
yeah.
It's something to kind of look into. I bought it on a web, and I've been very happy with what I've read in it. But at the same time, the esoteric properties that are contained within those texts and what you're supposed to execute and stuff like that, I don't know. Yeah. That's not really something accessible for the average person.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, okay, here's my deal with it. Okay, I've never read the book. I probably will never read it, but I mean, granted, I've heard, you know, things about the book, you know, what Rich was talking about, and it's, you know, it sounds interesting. Don't get me wrong, it really does. But as far as doing all this meditation and all that stuff they're talking about in the book,
exactly.
I've never had to do it, honestly, with all the sightings I see.
I gotta take you to a drum circle, game vet. That's all there is to it, buddy.
Well, actually,
and I'm not talking about just one night. I'm talking about the weekend.
Yeah. No, bro, that's actually really impactful. The drum circles and the energy that's drummed up in music and vibration, that makes a big difference. Honestly, if you can convey anything with that or beyond it, you know, that remains in the realm of question.
Meditation is just like being at a rock concert if you really think about it.
Oh, right.
You know, you're leaving yourself and you're entering into a sound, you know, and you're totally powerless. But you're giving it that. See,
you're giving.
You can't have a blockade because your blockade will stop all meditation.
You know, it's funny.
You just gotta open it, and it's just a door, and it's already unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
I have a funny story now. I don't think any of you guys know about this. I only told Michael about this, but I was actually listening. I was in the truck driving back home or driving back to the warehouse or whatever, and I was listening to the DHP podcast, and that is the same night where I heard that metal grinding sound.
Yes.
And it had sounded like a saw and all that stuff. And I think I was so focused on him talking in the interview and all that stuff. All of a sudden, I heard this, and then the grinding and all that. And I don't know what it was. I mean, maybe I was so focused in on what you guys were talking about at the time that my, the vibrations in my body or whatever picked up, and all of a sudden, whatever it was out there, it picked up on it. That could be a thing too.
Well, think about this.
You get like a shot through the spine.
Think about this. Okay, you watch these ghost shows on television, and there are plenty of people who say that once we watch these ghost shows, something comes through, and we can actually experience what they're experiencing in certain respects because the energy is connected. Why wouldn't that go further?
Right.
You know what I mean? If we're all connected, why wouldn't that be a thing?
Yeah, I think there's something
about
to it.
Tic Tacs for me, man.
Yeah, I think there is something to it.
You gotta throw the Tic Tac in there.
There's
dimensions beyond us. Dimensions and dimensions. Who knows? Maybe there's a full dimension of nothing but meditation. Maybe you tap into that.
Go into the silence.
I just had that thought. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something weird though, because all the sightings I've had, there was always something else going on, like the thing listening to DHP. Then I heard the metal grinding sound. There was my first sighting with the lights. Me and my buddy were camping, and I don't know, it was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was just, I don't know, just peaceful and everything, and all of a sudden the phenomenon just started happening, and I think it is something to do with the vibe you have or whatever, the wavelengths or whatever. Yeah, the vibration that you have and whatever. I think that truly does do something for it, but like what the book talks about is doing all this other weird stuff. I don't know about that, but I don't know. I'd like to, if I could buy the book for cheap or whatever, when you're done with it, I'll buy it from you and see.
We'll pass it around.
Hey, I'm going to check the library first. I'm going to check the library.
That's what you used to do. Today you just buy the book on Amazon, but we used to pass things.
Yeah, and talk about it.
I got a library card.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'd be curious to read it. I'm wondering about if it's like if it's a belief book, if it's Greer talking about his beliefs, I'm all for it. Like anyone should be able to write that, and if other people want to read it, let them. But if he's trying to say it's something that there's science or something, well, let's show some science for it, or whatever.
I need CE5 for dummies. Sure. I just need CE5 for dummies. Just give me that, and I'll be good.
Well, I mean, there's a real world application for that. I can say, give you a story why I believe the sun comes up, and the sun's still going to come up and be like, oh, look, my story, look, it happened. I summoned the sun. No, I knew the sun was going to be there. Like I knew if I know flares are going to be there, I can sell someone tickets to it, which you may or may not have done. Right. I mean, it's just, you never know in today's day and age. So whenever there's big money involved, you just got to go, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
But I wouldn't discount it just because of that. I want to read the book and see what he has to say. Even if some people are trying to capitalize on it, that might not be him. It might be his agent or the publisher or whatever. It might could be anybody
I've
else.
always respected Stephen Greer. I have Dr. Stephen Greer has always been on one of my highest levels of respect.
Yeah. Dude, when I saw the first Unacknowledged, I was like, this guy's awesome, man. Like, I want to meet him. I want to buy him a beer and pick his brain, yeah, I do. But then, as they started to come out more and more, I was just like, oh, I don't know, man. There's other influences there now. So I don't know. You take the good and you discard the bad is what I'm saying, like anything,
as long as there's no connection to MUFON, I think we should be okay.
Yeah, at least for today. So
yeah, at least for today.
I can still find your guys' videos on MUFON, right?
Yeah.
Just because I need to find videos.
MUFON's
mine either.
I've been reading a lot lately the last week, and kind of digging into what they're about and what, how they're structured and things like that. And it is kind of an interesting, organization because, it in some ways it kind of resembles a pyramid scheme where you got to kind of buy your way to be an investigator, or a Ponzi scheme, however you want to look at it, it's same kind of thing, but it's not, it's more of like, you want to be an investigator, take our course, pay this money, get us to know you, and now we'll make you, if you just buy your way in,
it's more overt. Yeah.
It's not, they're not officially anything, but there is some big money moving through there. I looked at their 2018 taxes and there's a pretty good amount of money moving in and out of there every year, so, I mean, it's not FU money, but it, for a place like MUFON, it's a good chunk of change,
Well,
so,
if you're established in 1967, and you have that
they
history,
probably get movie deals.
And everybody along that way just got affiliated in one way or another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people are looking to MUFON as the authority, and today it's just not the case. Okay, there's many other people out there who are doing this.
It never should have been either.
No, it shouldn't have been. But
it was like Blockbuster, man. It was like Blockbuster for me. I never made MUFON anything to me,
MUFON should have been
a place where if I couldn't find it somewhere else, I would find a UFO, show or some footage or a story. If I was looking for it there, that was it.
Somebody who thinks
I know they had some hardcore followers. I don't know.
Yeah. And nowadays a lot of people spam them. You'd be surprised. Like I look at their public, where they list their public uploads, and I would say a good half of the stuff that's up there now is just intentional. It's like intentional garbage. Like people are putting up stuff that they know aren't UFOs and claiming it's UFO.
Doing that for years. That's the disappointing thing about that. They've been doing that for years.
Yeah, it's a giant waste of time. You got to sift through it.
Finding out about it now. Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine what they have, but like how they have to go through it. But yeah, it seems like you can just kind of buy your way in there, and that you have to pretty much maintain your dues every year to stay up current, to be an investigator and all that. And like that's where they get their money. But it's just, I don't know. It just
so we just call it Club MUFON.
Yeah,
sounds like Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to. I did not want to go there, but I did. I was like, "Whoa, dude!"
Hey, they got a new book. You got to retest. Your thetans are all fucked up.
There,
it's another 10 grand. Sorry.
Oh, so this clip here, I just wanted to show you. This is what I thought was that red thing that was on your first bit of footage there.
Okay.
This is the infrared light that's on your cell phone, and as this guy's repairing it here, he's going to take this little lens cover off, and you'll see a little LED right behind it and a little small infrared shield that it goes through. And that's how you have your infrared light on your cell phone. And that's what I think it was, because it's a round light and it's red. But, yep, there's the infrared shield right there on front. It's just a tiny little screen right here that goes in front of the little LED.
Wow.
Goodness.
But this is a good reference because it kind of shows you the whole thing. There's LED.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there it is.
Nice.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Just something I found to kind of illustrate. I was like, oh, that kind of looks like what that might be. But, you never know. It could be anything. Like I said, it could be a light. It could be a laser. It could be a moth. It could be, Satan on a broomstick. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just throwing some stuff out there.
Yeah, I wish I would have had a better camera that night.
Yeah.
These phone cameras really suck for UFO capturing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You do what you can.
I can't even get a good moon shot.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing just getting a good shot of the moon. But you know what? They got these new phones they got coming out. They're huge. They're thick, like the S10 or what are they? S20, sorry. The S20 is supposed to be $1,300, dude, and you can video at night and catch everything that goes by. It's crazy.
Listen, you throw a telescope in that mix, you're good to go.
Right.
Yeah, night shooting's always hard. Like if you've ever just tried to shoot the moon, you know how hard it is to get any definition because of how luminescent it is and how much, sunlight is bouncing off of it. It just looks like a bright glowing, it looks like a sun, you can't,
Yeah.
but then
I've
you
had
see
more
like,
problems finding the damn thing in the night sky. I'll be honest with you. Once I dialed in on it, I was okay. But
yeah,
finding it and actually dialing in those
and
coordinates.
getting your settings just right and everything. Like with a telescope, it's different than just pointing your phone up and looking at it. Like you're trying to, if you're going to try to get into astronomy, that'd be your best bet is to get a 9-inch or 10-inch or whatever, and just hook a camera up to it and get it on the motor mount to track the moon as it comes by and take some time lapse. Yeah, I've seen some people do some pretty cool stuff like that. But
you got to have a sturdy tripod though. Sturdy tripod.
Yeah. It's very specialized too, so you gotta have like specialty equipment, that's very expensive.
Too, is keeping everything stabilized.
Yeah, just do what you can with what you got. That's the best thing you can do. If you got an old
but where
phone,
there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Now talking about the moon, did you see that new thing that passed the moon the other day? It was on what the heck is that? Third phase of the moon.
Was it the square or the other thing? Oh, I didn't.
It looked like it kind of looked. It reminded me of Muamua, but it looked like a sword almost. Like it was really elongated, and then it had the two things sitting out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that or not. I wanted to bring that up.
I didn't see that one. No. I've seen a lot of stuff in front of the sun. Specifically, there's a channel called Mayenhausen 74 that's all he does is he watches the SOHO, the SDO, he watches all that stuff, and any anomalies he will find. So I've seen everything from a giant square that is like 100 times the size of the Earth just hanging out next to the sun to like a speck on the camera lens that makes it look like there's a big giant comet coming by that was never there. And he spots a lot of stuff, and honestly, I think I can only explain maybe like 0.5% of what he finds. The rest of it, I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know enough about that technology. Like that could be anything, like. But there is a lot of
Manny, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah,
sure.
I was going to ask you a question. Do you think there could be a speck on an outer space camera?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how does a speck get there?
A piece of dust? Is there no dust in space?
Really? Oh,
a lot more.
I know there's
like to admit, yes.
Dust.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sure.
I mean, they do say space dust, but
especially on a satellite that has moving components on it that something could have been locked into, or I mean, yeah, there definitely could be something like that out there. I wouldn't discount it out of hand, and I've seen enough of them to say, yeah, it does happen. But I mean, it could be moon. Yeah, and on the moon. I mean, I've had it happen on my cell phone. You pull your camera out and it's got a piece of junk on the lens. I mean, is that different than something flying through space? Sure. Are the odds extremely low?
I heard that dust was nasty stuff. I heard that stuff ripped their clothing. I heard that was nasty.
Oh, the moon dust? Yeah, because it was so fine and it shredded stuff, kind of like that DE, that diatomaceous earth, like it just shreds everything, yeah.
You know what diatomaceous earth is, though? That's crushed up seashells.
Yeah.
Totally crushed up seashells.
Yeah, so that was the Apollo guys. They're I think some of their suits they were having problems with that when they first went up, right?
Yeah, they had to rebuild their suits to withstand that, from what I understood.
This is a really cool one, and
one of the most interesting stories I heard about. Good.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Were you talking about Apollo still? I like Apollo, man.
No,
I'll talk about the movie. I love it. Oh, check this out. So this is from an airplane over Arizona. Let's see here.
Okay. Wow.
It's super bright. That thing's got to be huge, whatever it is. I mean, I kind of know what it is. I'm not even going to lie, but it's cool. This is
now mirrors for solar.
That's exactly what they are.
Solar field.
Yeah, solar farm, exactly. Yeah. And I can see why somebody seeing that might report this as a UFO or whatever, like, or some weird installation. But, if you start looking around, you find pictures of solar farms and you're like, oh, I see a round one. That looks just like it with the tower in the middle. I didn't find any in Arizona that were round. All the ones I found were square, or hexagonal. They were the more standard types,
This is actually, this is very similar to the one that's south of Las Vegas, and I've driven by it going to California. So
that might even be it.
It was recognizable. Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
they said they totally out in the desert like that.
I've seen it. Yeah. And this round structure, like they're building a giant one in China just like that too, that I found online. And it's going to be one of the biggest, solar farms ever, but it was still pretty cool. I liked it. I was like, it reminded me of that movie, The Arrival, where the aliens are in the big, radio satellite dish taking over stuff and trying to take over the world and terraform it. One of Charlie Sheen's best films, if you ask me. But yeah, it was worth looking at.
I can't figure. I'm not. Yeah, I threw a blank on that one, and I like Charlie. Most of his movies.
Charlie Sheen's our hero.
This is an interesting thing that I found. You guys remember this from 1994? It was called Without Warning.
Maybe.
So this is like a remake of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, pretty much, except for it was these 3 meteors that land on Earth and they were talking about aliens. It was like a 2-hour broadcast, but it did spook people, even in the 90s, and even with these huge disclaimers on it, like people kind of fell for it, like, at least some people who fell for it, I heard, thought it was a real broadcast and called into their networks and were like, what's going on here? Is the world ending? Are we under attack? Maybe another one's coming. Who knows? Maybe it'll be hologram.
That's a great possibility right there. That's scary too.
I just love the old commercials too. Come on, 1994.
You know what? Hologram technology.
Yeah, drones and holograms and all that, right? Like, I mean, you could stage something like that if you really wanted to. What would be what would really be your motive, though? Like to keep people inside, like to control people, or to really kind of drip feed a narrative that we've always had disclosure, we've always had aliens. I don't get it. Maybe they're just trying to mess with us so we don't coordinate and rally and get together, work towards something fun.
Yeah. I still think there's some dude's going to steal one of them damn UFOs one day out there. He's just going to take it for a test drive, not come back.
That's what I'm going to do.
Like
I've been telling you guys this ever since I've known you. I'm going to take one of those bad boys if I ever have a chance. If things go to the back of my trailer, and I'm going out to where I used to live and hop aboard, try to figure it out how to work it. And I'll pull up to the patent office and say, I want to patent this.
Well, guys, listen. I want to thank you. I want to thank you guys for having me on. I'm gonna bounce out now, but thank you very much for entertaining my presence, and we'll definitely do this again. Yeah, well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'll be in the chat for like 10,
nice to meet you, Dark.
10, 15 minutes. So, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'll be in the chat for another 10, 15 minutes.
I'll follow you.
All right, cheers, man. Great to meet you, man. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the night.
I gotta go too. I'm looking at my battery life is dying, so I gotta jet out too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Green Man, Game Vet.
Yep.
Guys, have a great night. Area.
All right, you too, buddy.
Take care, everybody. It was good to see you guys. All of you. Norm, good to meet you too. Green Man.
See you later, Manny. My pleasure, dude.
Cheers, brothers.
Thanks,
I gotta bounce
Game
out
Vet for having me.
All right, I'll see you guys.
All right,
that was fun though. Thank you. Later.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's always good to talk video games, man.
Yeah.
Video games.
Yeah,
I love guesses and all that stuff too. So.
Yeah. Did you now? Do you have any arcade cabinets yourself at home, or?
No, I don't at the moment. The last time I had one was a Nintendo Play Choice 10. The one where you can slot in, and I had like maybe 15 or 16 different games for that one. I didn't have a full library, but that was my personal favorite. And then I had another cabinet that was a Karnov, the old Carnival guy who spits fire.
Yeah.
And that was a cool cabinet because the bottom of it was on a drawer where I could pull the bottom out, and the PC board for the cabinet was sitting right there. So I had about a dozen other games I could just unplug and plug back in that use that same standard harness and cabinet and everything. So I had, like ATAX, I had a two-player version of Quartet on there,
Cool.
Gauntlet, and some other games that were on there that you could just pop them in, but that was a good way, like nowadays there's no reason to. You might as well just go with a Raspberry Pi and make a game cabinet like you're talking about, because you can do everything in one shot, Yeah, and there's schematics for cabinets out there. There's some that are pre-made, like the Ultracades, in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. But there's some that are just top loaded, top end cabinets. So whatever. I'd rather
even this one. It's easy to copy, since I have the thing here. I could just make a schematic to make another one just like it. Then there's companies that you snap them a picture of whatever you want on the side, and they can just do whatever graphic you want. And that's all this is. I mean, it's an arcade one-up machine. They have their own graphics people and all that stuff, but it's really easy to make your own. It really is now with the Raspberry Pis and all that. Very easy.
Yeah, I've seen some that were also in a joystick kit, kind of like your 4 joysticks with the trackball and all the buttons, and the whole thing was just self-contained. So you just run an HDMI cable to a monitor and set the cable and play. Was a big clunky box, the size, the depth of a shoe box. Yeah, but that was just controllers had weight, so you weren't banging the thing around. I mean, yeah, you can go as old school as you want or as custom as you want. That's kind of what I like about this Raspberry Pi technology. You can use it for other stuff too. The sky's the limit as long as you have a little creativity. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Blue Chicken says Raspberry Pi rules. Yeah, I'm gonna make a video because I'm gonna redo this cabinet. I want to put my Raspberry Pi in that, and I have to make a new controller deck. I got the new sticks and buttons, the light up buttons, and all that stuff. Even with this one, I made I bought original 80s pepper buttons and I installed them on this deck. So it's normally people try to retro something from old to new technology. This one went from new to old technology. So it's kind of interesting, but I do want to get more games on it because there's only 4 on there or whatever. And this way I'd have, 300 and some or whatever. I think on the Pi right now it has over 3,700 games on it.
Yeah, you can put whatever you want in there. I mean, you've got a whole cabinet there. You could build a whole gaming PC in there and emulate everything on there if you wanted to. Like the Pi is just a simple, easy way to go because it's pretty much plug and play. You just dumping everything on it and setting it up. And there's probably some good tutorials out there about how to configure and set some of that stuff up to help you with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that sounds like a fun project, man. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to build my own. Oops, sorry about that. This table sucks. I'd love to build my own, and I just use like a regular TV in it and mount the TV inside. That way, the Raspberry Pi can just plug right into the TV, and then you just hook up your controllers right to the boards and stuff like that. It'd be really easy to do, but. Yeah, that's another time. The wife would get mad at me because I'd take up her garage space. So
you got to start picking your projects, man. Based on space and tolerance.
You're right.
I get it. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's all I got for now. Have you got anything else? I don't know. Anything else you're working on right now?
No, I'm just, back to the channel, doing more UFOs, doing more sightings, doing more science and tech, and, just doing what I do, getting that content out and trying to stay, on top of what's going on and then kind of bringing it out to people to talk about it, Yeah. So, and there's no shortage out there right now. I mean, there's so much going on in space news and in ufology. It's like, you just got to pick and choose what you want to talk about because there's a whole smorgasbord out there right now, it's things are moving fast. So
it really is.
Yeah,
it really is. Like I say, don't know if Tommy's ever witnessed any of this stuff going on, but honestly, the skies are really getting busy out there. That's what I've noticed, and I can't even capture this stuff fast enough. I see it faster than I can get my camera out, you know? So,
Yeah,
you know,
dash cams will be your friend when you're on the road, especially at night. You'd be amazed at stuff that you see that you never even thought, or something quick happens and you're like, hey, mark it in your notebook so you can check the footage later, or make a note
yeah,
of what time it was, like, because it can be daunting. Like, I know, like, if you've got hours of footage to go through, sometimes it can be so frustrating if you're just looking for one little second, and you're like, I know I saw that before, but I didn't write down precisely when it was, like, and sometimes you'll never even find it. You'll just go back and forth, back and forth. So
yeah,
yeah, if you get a dash cam and keep a notebook or a little voice recorder handy, so you can just say, hey, at 8:52, something happened, check it later.
yeah.
Like that's
My
something.
thing is, yeah, I mean, I have a dash cam running now, in my truck. But the problem is I'll see it, but then the dash cam won't. And like last week, I had a some light. It either was two lights or it was something big, and it went just from the left side of me, basically just cruised over like that, super fast. It lit up the clouds like in I don't know, rectangle portions, basically. So it looked like two big rectangles side by side, and it just went super fast right past me. When I looked at the dash cam, didn't even register it. I don't even know how it couldn't, but I guess it must have been so far up it just didn't see it. But yeah, I gotta find another dash cam that is like a night vision or something. So
Yeah, low light setting or something. Yeah,
yeah,
something to help there. It's going to see the road in front of you where your headlights are. That's what it's designed to do is, like
right.
pick up that light, but that might also throw it off too. And, maybe get another dash cam, but stick it out your side window, or your
Mm-hmm.
back window where I don't know what your rig looks like, but maybe you could find a place to mount it where it's not getting the splash from the headlights. So it'll pick up more light,
Right.
yeah. The most of those things kind of autofocus. Some of them, I guess, you could maybe manually focus or set them to different sizes, but that's
Mm-hmm.
probably not. Like that's going to be way too expensive. Those are pretty much just to plug in and record. So
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out. It's always a pleasure having you on. You're awesome, man. Love your work and stuff like that, and love chatting with you. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. It's great. I love hanging out and chatting with you too, man. It's a good time talking with everybody here. There is a lot of people, and I know I kind of run my mouth sometimes, especially when I'm like, "Oh, video games! I don't get to talk about this with anybody. Everybody wants to talk about you."
I could, excuse me. I could talk about them all damn day. I really could.
Good. Well, we'll talk about that
Because,
then, so not everybody has to be subjected to it, right?
right.
But,
God dang.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. I didn't even touch on the subject that the PlayStation is coming out with a CD drive version and a non-CD drive version. It's like, what are you trying to push the digital downloads out now? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There was something, it's kind of a long story, but there's a guy named Boogie or Francis. He's got a YouTube channel and he did a video about how, he broke it down in about 2 minutes. He's like, this is how basically GameStop and corporations like them basically killed the video game industry and forced it into this microtransaction deal by killing new game sales with aggressive resale tactics, which
mhm.
they do, they buy stuff back for 25, $30, but then they're selling it for 45 or, $5 off retail. And, when you really look at it, you're like, dang, man, like a lot of people jumped onto the video game market and caused it to have to shift, and all these old institutions, Bethesda, EA, these old gaming places are now having to scrap to make a buck because just putting out a title for $60 isn't working anymore. Like
Mhm.
they're going digital because it saves them a little bit of money. It also forces people to go up and get their digital their DLC, and their extra packages and that, they're doing what they got to survive. And like I don't like it. I wish video games were like they were in the Super Nintendo day. It's $40 and you own the damn thing.
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah. You trade it to your buddy when you're done with your game and he's done with his, and that way you save a little bit of money, like that was, but the games were still getting bought, like It wasn't GameStop reselling the same physical copy of something 120 times for $5 off retail. You know, like that's ridiculous. So
Right.
yeah, but
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, you know, at least there's still an industry here. It's just changing, you know, and it's kind of going back to basics. Like they're going back to, you know, they're trying to reboot everything and get back to that wonder of the 80s and then, you know, the early 90s of video games. And some companies are doing it and others aren't. But there's some independent companies out there too that might be stepping up and coming out with some good stuff. So just hang on, man. It's like ufology. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I just honestly, I love all the graphics now. Then, because I mean, I grew up with the Atari and all that stuff, you know, and it's like you see a game now, it's like, oh my god, it's incredible. Like I was watching Norm play NFL Blitz, I believe, 2020. I was watching that today. It's like,
Yeah.
God, it looks like a real freaking game, man.
Yeah, like you're watching a game. You're like, is that high def or whoa, dude? That's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm like, why is he streaming a game online when he can watch it on TV? I'm like, oh, that is a game. It's a damn video game, but it looks so, you know, it looks so real. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, some of the NBA games, the NFL games, the hockey games, like they're just so amazing. The Gran Turismo and Forza just blew my mind. The latest one, I was like, wow, like I don't even want to play this. I just want to sit here and watch it.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to scratch the paint, you know, like it's that cool of a game, you know, like
how much is this gonna cost? God damn
it. Yeah, like, I can't wait for the new flight sim, the new Microsoft flight simulator that's coming out. I'm looking at that and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get in that. I hope they got a UFO. If not, I'll keep bugging them to put one in.
Oh yeah,
like
I used to love playing those.
Yeah, dude, the like X-Plane and stuff. Some of those, I love those flight sims, man. You know, like I think I have a yoke and throttle around here in a box somewhere. You know, I know I've got some rudders too, but I don't know. You know, like I don't know if I want to get into all that again. You know, like if I do, maybe I'll just build a whole, you know, like flight simulator. I've seen a couple cool ones, man, where it's all just decked out. You know, and you're like, okay, let's do it right.
Buy a freaking ultralight, call it a day. It probably costs the same anyway.
Yeah,
you know, then actually do it.
Yeah.
Unless you have a phobia of flying or something, but you know.
Yeah, if I was going to do that, I'd get in a helicopter, I think, and do that. You know, like, yeah, there's a couple pilot schools, and I've thought about, you know, going out in the chopper just because I love it, man. It's so, I understand the mechanics of it. I'm like, you know, I've done all the VR chopper stuff, man, from the old AH-64 longbow to the, you know, new flight simulator stuff where you're flying in a, you know, Bell Jet Ranger or whatever those new super ones are. I'm like, whoa, it's not a Jet Ranger, but you know, those super helicopters, you know, it's like the only thing left is like a Chinook, like a dual prop, and that would be fun, you know. But yeah, I don't know if I was going to do that. Maybe I'd do that. Go moonlight swinging Christmas trees around for the guys out in the country out here. You know? They pick them up on helicopters. Those guys got cojones, dude.
Yeah.
Like, back and forth connecting chains with like, you know, 20 or 30 freaking Christmas trees on them and flying it up and dropping it and just all day long. I'm like, man, you guys got nerves of steel.
You know? Right.
Yeah. They better be paying you good money.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, buddy. Well, thanks for coming out today. It's awesome to have you on. You're always welcome anytime, man.
For sure, man. We'll come back and do it again sometime in the future, man. It's good as always. I love coming and hanging out, and it's good to chat with you face to face where we're not screaming at each other across a crowded chat room.
Right. Hey, hi.
Yeah. Hey, what's good?
What did I do?
Right. All right. We'll take it easy, man. Again, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, bud. I'll catch you down the road, man.
All right, man. Later.
See you later. All right, that's it, guys. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. We even had UFO Buster Radio on here. So how you doing out there? Yeah, Gutter Rocker, Chuck Bam, Blue Chicken was in the house. We had Big Cat, White Sun was here, and DHP again. Had a lot of Chuck Bam, Tommy L. All the big players were here today. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys coming out. I really do. So I want you guys to have a good night, and I'll catch you down the road next time, okay? Have a good night. See you soon.